Welcome to hashtag 52 Needs, and this week's topic is connections. My name is Angela Heise. I'm a leadership coach and emotional productivity trainer, and I'm a global nomad, and I've lived all around the world. And so I'm delighted to meet Christelle Pellecuer, who is equally globally nomaded. Well, she can tell you all about this herself, but let me give you a very quick introduction. So Christelle is the founder and creative director of Razana Afrika. She's a makeup artist for fashion, film, and TV industry, and a writer and performer based in Bristol, UK. Her professional background includes working in the education sector for over 15 years, undertaking program and project management roles with an international focus. Christelle is also the co-director of a small theater company called Black Women Let Loose Theater Company, and they write, perform, produce, and direct their own materials. Christelle's writing is based on her experience as a Black woman living in the diaspora and as a transracial adoptee, explores issues of identity, memory, and displacement. She's inspired by African culture, traditions, and mythologies. Welcome, Christelle. How are you? Or bonjour.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we're talking connection, and that's one of those things, and we've talked about this before. Here I am, a German woman in Australia, and you are a woman from Madagascar who grew up in France and who now lives in the UK.
Yes.
It doesn't really get any more international than it does it?
Exactly. And yeah, again, I mean, yeah, all this movement is all about connecting with different places and people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, no, I missed one thing. We're both not speaking our native language.
True. True.
Okay, so you've got a video podcast. You do videos called Step to the Throne. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because you're connecting women with what?
All right, so Step to the Throne is really part of, it's a small project that's part of my work with Razana Afrika.
Mm-hmm.
And the aim of Step to the Throne is really to try to connect with women from all around the world in the diaspora, specifically Black women who has done wonderful things around the globe. And for them to tell me a little bit more about what their life is, but also it's to inspire young generation, to give them some representation that, there's women who look like them all around the world who are doing great things. So it's really to connect and to inspire other people.
Yeah. And I mean, what do these women do? Give us some examples, because I've watched a couple and it's just, they're doing amazing things.
Yeah, it's been varied. I mean, I've had singers, actresses, I've had women working in university. We've had TV presenters. So yeah, it's a wide range of, and I've tried to get a wide range of women so the young girl can identify with different jobs that they might not even think they could do as a Black girl. So for me, it was really important to have a wide spectrum of representation.
Yeah, that's, we've talked about this before, because for a lot of people, Africa is Africa. And it's not. There's such a bandwidth. I mean, it's like saying, I love it when people say they come to Australia or they go to the United States or they go to Europe and they just lump it all together under one, like one thing. But that's not what we can actually do. I mean, you can't put a continent, maybe not even in Australia, you can't lump it together and say that's one community. There are communities within communities within communities.
Yes, I mean, it's different culture in itself. I mean,
exactly.
From one country in Africa to another one, it's a completely different culture. And you've got 54 countries. And even within the same country, there's so many different culture in itself, and ethnic minorities or ethnic group living in its country. So it's just quite widely different wherever you go. And like I say, with 54 countries, so many different language. Where I come from in Madagascar, there's already, it's a huge island. It's the fourth biggest island in the world, but there's huge different number of different languages. Different part of the island will speak different dialects. So in itself, you will some people from the north might have a slightly different way of talking than people from the south of the island.
Yeah.
So yeah, you cannot lump everybody into one pot. And yeah, like I said, I think it's relevant to a lot of places. I mean, in Europe itself, I grew up in France. When I moved to the UK, it was a completely different culture. It's a culture shock in itself. We don't live the same way, even within a European country. So it's definitely nuances.
But it's called the European Community, even though the UK is no longer part of it, but it was part of it. It's called a community. So I always ask myself, how do you define a community? What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess it's all about what we're talking about here today. It's about connection. If you can find something that you can relate with that specific community, something that make you belonging. I think it's that sense of wanting to belong to a space, the people, life, the culture itself. So it need to be something that I think for me I can relate to. But I don't feel like I can belong to that culture, or I can connect with the people within that specific group. So you need to. I think it's in a way it's just emotional connection of some sort.
Yeah. So I mean, we connect on various levels. I mean, we connect as women. We connect as women who don't live in their home countries. We connect as women who are passionate about the work that we do. We've got some values that are aligned, very strongly aligned, about, diversity and acceptance and all sorts of things. And so I think those are, we don't just connect with people on one level. If we want to really emotionally connect with somebody, there need to be several levels coming together, because otherwise it would be just for example, a business connection. I can have a business connection with somebody and just do a transaction. But in order to have a connection that's built on trust and all of that, I need to have some sort of emotional connection.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, life is in a way like that, it's so multi-dimensional. And you can connect for music, or you can connect just a friend for music, for example, or for film. You can set up or even books. I see books behind you, and that is a perfect example. You set up a book club because you've got an affinity for books, and you start talking about, your like and don't like about literature or books in itself and the story. So I think that's kind of different area that's kind of can put us together. In a very, and I think it is about trust as well, like you said, because you can't really connect with someone you can't trust at all. So it is very multidimensional. It's not that easy just to say I can connect with someone just by meeting them once, I think. I mean, you can have that spark, so I connect, but I think most of the time it's kind of a relationship that has built up over time, and that's how the connection can be sustained, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking when you were mentioning the books and all of that, when I was living in Sydney, I was part of a community which was and I connected. It was really funny. It was a South American community, and they would get together every Friday night, and they would dance, and they would sing, and they would play music and recite poetry, and it was really a great evening. And I learned how to dance salsa. So I just danced with these people. I didn't speak any Spanish at the time, none whatsoever, and so we just connected through dancing. And then I went to Spain, and I moved around, and I had learned to dance with people from people who from Spanish-speaking countries. And it was really interesting because I was with a German girlfriend, and all the Spanish people started speaking Spanish with me, and they spoke. They didn't do that with her, because I must have connected with dancing through dancing in such a way that my body language was changing. So there was a different kind of connection that I had with people, and that was totally unconscious. I had no idea, but my girlfriend said, "How come they always speak Spanish with you, but not with me?"
Yes, it is. really interesting. And I think for people move around, actually, this is a way we found to try to connect with other people is through this type of activity, dance, music. Yeah, because I think I did the same when I moved to the UK. I did samba and salsa classes as well. Language classes, that's another way to connect. And it's all you find all the foreigners taking English classes when they arrive in the UK. So you tend to band with people who have similar interests and similar view as you in a way. And then you start having to connect with different group almost. So you have the dance group, you've got my reading group, and then you've got, all sorts of different little group around the city that you form connection with.
You know what we've missed so far? Something that's really important to me is food. I love connecting with people over food. There's nothing more that I enjoy when I cook for people and they really appreciate the food. And it's not that I'm cooking it so they appreciate it, but they appreciate it and then I feel connected. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Our food is very, very important in terms of connecting with people. And I find with food, I mean, in Bristol, there's 91 languages from people from all over the world in the city, and there is an organization who set up work around food, and it's called 91 Way after the 91 languages. So what they do is they invite someone from a specific country to cook, and then invite the community from Bristol to come and try this food. And it's just amazing how people can connect over just one thing with the food. People start talking about the food. Some people don't even speak the same languages, but the taste of that food is almost like, you see their face lighting up and you say like, oh yes, they like this food, even if you don't understand each other. And it's really, I think the power of food is just amazing and connecting people together.
And I'm just realizing, I mean, we also connect with family members over food. I mean, my family, we used to sit at the dinner table and we would talk about what had happened during the day. And a lot of the time that doesn't happen anymore. A lot of people eat with their phone in their hand, or they eat in front of the TV, or they eat, they go and get takeaway and eat somewhere standing in the corner somewhere. So this whole connecting through food doesn't happen that much anymore, but it's starting to do that again. I think people are becoming aware of that, and the pandemic definitely played a role in that.
Yes, I think it is really important, I think, to keep the family together in a way. And like you say, especially when people are so busy during the day, that is the only time the family can come together and share a little bit of what happened during the day. I mean, I grew up in south of France, and that culture of food is really important. And we always have big gathering even to this day. And one of my fun memories are Sundays. It's always been having the family having dinners at my grandparents, and family who don't live near me would travel to my grandparents every Sunday, and this is what we meet. And for me, that has been really nice because I could see the cousin I haven't seen for a while. Some of them come every Sunday, so it's nice, for sure that you're going to be connecting with them on that Sunday. But other we come not as often, but it's guaranteed that there's going to be at least 20, 30 people around the table.
Wow. Okay.
And I really miss moving to the UK because I don't have my family here. But I still do, food, I think, has been really important even in the UK for me, especially with my African friends. There's still that culture of, come over for food and chat. And what I like, I think, with the African family is, there's always food for a lot of people. They never cook for one person. So even if they know, well, they don't know it coming, you are guaranteed that you're going to find food.
Well, I
in
tell
the
you what,
house.
I challenge you to that. My family did exactly the same thing because I mean, you never know when somebody will come and you might need some extra food. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just really nice, and I do miss that. You know, nowadays society is losing that part of it really, and yeah, I wish one way that we can reconnect for food, then that gathering come back a little bit more, because
Yeah.
it's important.
I,
In a way, I also see it. I mean, I've got a daughter at university now, and that generation don't really know. They've missed out on some of those gathering. I mean, they do with their friends, but not the same way as I did with my
no.
family. And a lot of them don't even know how to cook anymore. So they've
Yeah.
lost that connection with food as well, and what the meaning of that food is. It's always like food on the go, like you mentioned, because people are always on their phone. And I mean, now there's a lot more takeaway places around, so people are always going on the go.
Yeah.
Between meeting, you go buy a sandwich and then go back to your desk, and we don't actually value what stopping for eating means anymore.
Yeah. Well, and with the pandemic, it's been really difficult. I have dinners with friends, and depending on what time zone they're in, I might have dinner and they might have breakfast or, lunch or something. But at least we get to connect because food really helps connect people, I think. I know that I run a lunch and brunch group here for the Internations Network, which is an expat network, and we have regularly 20 people sitting around the table, and we just talk. And like you said, sometimes people speak different languages. They come. I mean, we had one last week where we had 16 people from 12 different countries sitting around the table. And it's just so wonderful to be able to connect with people across boundaries and across borders, to be able to say, so you're different, but we're the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really important because, I mean, as we've talked, there's connection with family, there's connection with friends, and then there's connection with community, and that's the more the social network, and we need all of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's you cannot separate, and that come back to the multidimensional side of being a human being is you need different things to nourish you. So it's just very important to have
Absolutely.
connection.
So when we talk about nourishment, it's, I mean, I obviously this is emotions is my thing. So the sense of connection is actually really, it's vital to us, for us. We need to have connections. We are built for connection. So that's one of the reasons why the pandemic has been so hard for us. It didn't allow us to connect. And that loneliness can actually impact on our immune system more than a virus.
Yes, for me, actually, the pandemic was more about connecting with myself. I think also that is another thing that we've lost as a human being. We are so afraid of ourselves and connecting with who we are. And I think that's where everything starts. You'll have to start with you. If you can't connect with yourself, it's going to be really difficult to connect with anybody else.
Absolutely.
So for me, the pandemic has been positive in that sense because it gave me the space, because before I was always out of the house, meeting, job, this and yes, exactly. So it just forced me to stop and actually, yes, I need to spend time with myself. I need, I've valued a lot more about self-care during pandemic because I don't think I was doing any of that before. I always put people before me. And being forced to reconnect with myself, I realized, you know what, you need to look after yourself first. It's not a selfish things to do, because if you are not full, you cannot help anybody else.
Exactly.
So I think that connection with myself is I think it's a big thing. Now I realize it took me a long time to get here, but it is definitely for me where it starts. And the pandemic has helped me to reconnect. part of me that's I've lost. And I think some way along the way of growing up, connecting with other people has been an excuse, but I was actually losing myself by trying to connect with people might not be the right place for me. You know, sometimes when you try to belong into a place or you move to a new community, you try to just connect with whoever you meet. You don't always think about, is this the right group for me? Is this the right person to be around with? And you just launch yourself into that kind of relationships, and then realize later on, it's like, no, that was not what you needed. But if I've connected with myself first and really understood who I am and what I need in life, when you meet certain people, then you can be more informed and like, this is not the type of person I should be around, or this is the type of relationship that I want to in my life. So I think pandemic has definitely helped me realize, okay, I need to go back in, reconnect with myself, and really value what do you want in life, who are you, and what is really important.
Yeah. And as you said, it's that starting point to be able to connect with others. And I think that's my personal impression. This is why it's probably harder for the younger generation to connect, because they connect through social media, where it's all about, it's not about being real. It's about having a profile. It's about branding. It's about looking good. So you're not really connecting on social media from authenticity. You're connecting from what you want to portray. And if you're connecting with people from that place, and it's always about, am I good enough? Am I, then it's going to be really hard to connect with yourself. And so there are a lot of, I think this is one of the reasons why there are so many people who, suicide rates are rising. And during the pandemic, one of the things that has really gone up, sadly, is that a lot of influencers committed suicide because they just couldn't connect with people, and they couldn't connect with themselves anymore. And, it just became really difficult. And so they opted out.
Yeah.
So we really need to look at connection again. And I think it's something, the whole building of trust and rapport and, that and connection is something we really need to, this is me speaking as a coach. I think it's a life skill we need to teach people consciously.
Definitely. And I think we should be starting children when they're young to teach them about, self-care, self-love, and how important it is to connect with ourselves and to look inside first before looking outside. And it's definitely something we should be teaching our children very young, and not let them struggle most of their life before they're finding out who they are and what's the right connection for them is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely change the way the world runs.
Yeah. Well, on that note, let's make that our mission, or continue doing that, because I know you and I are both very passionate about this. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you very much.